There's always an object. It might be a coffee mug or a quilt folded on the back of a chair or a magnet on the refrigerator that nobody else would have thought twice about. But somebody picks it up and everything stops. You can usually tell how a family is doing with the sale of a parent's home by what happens in that silence. The pause after picking up an item filled with memories and someone says, "We should probably just donate most of this." The moment before anyone responds, in that moment, the whole family finds out what kind of sale this is really going to be. That's what this video is about. I'm Hannah. I'm a real estate agent in New Hampshire specializing in housing transitions for older adults and the families who love them. This channel is meant to be a trusted resource. This is the second video in my series on family dynamics during the sale of a parent's home. If you missed the first one on differing agendas, where siblings come into the process wanting completely different things, I'd encourage you to watch that one too. You can find it right here. Today we're talking about emotional attachment to the home, and specifically what happens to a family when some members are grieving the loss of it and others are trying to get the home sold, and neither fully understands what the other needs. I want to start with the parent because I think sometimes in these conversations, we talk so much about the siblings who are doing most of the work that we forget who this home actually belongs to. A few months ago, I met a woman in Meredith who is in her mid-80s. I just want to tell you a little bit about the stories she told me. She had picked out the fabric for her handmade floral curtains on a trip to Portsmouth with her mother over 40 years ago. The hook by the back door was where her husband always hung his coat and hat. He passed away 6 years ago. The pencil marks on the kitchen door frame were where she had measured her kids every birthday, all the way up until they were taller than she was. When her children sat down with her to talk about selling the house, she solemnly agreed. She had just been waiting for someone to bring it up. But agreeing with your mind and releasing with your heart are two entirely different things. She was very sad, and her children, who loved her deeply, didn't always know how to help her logistically and empathetically at the same time. This home wasn't just a structure. It was the physical container of her entire adult life. Every room held a version of herself she would never get back. And when you understand it that way, when you really contemplate that, you start to understand why the process of selling it can feel to an aging parent like saying goodbye to who they used to be. That deserves to be treated gently, not rushed, not managed, gently. Now let's talk about what's happening with the adult children, because here's what I notice. In almost every family navigating this, there are a few recognizable roles that emerge, and none of them are wrong, but all of them have something they're not seeing. The first is the practical one. You probably know who this is in your family, or maybe you are this person. They show up with a notebook. They've already called 2 realtors. They have a timeline in mind and a general sense of what needs to happen and in what order. They are, in many ways, the reason the process moves at all. Somebody has to hold the logistics. Somebody has to make the calls and track the paperwork and keep things from falling apart entirely. But here's what they sometimes miss. When they treat every sentimental object as a task to be sorted, when they respond to tears with timelines, they send a message that they don't intend to send. The message is, this is just a transaction, and for everyone else in that house, it is not just anything. What the family needs from the practical sibling isn't less competence. It's the willingness to pause for 10 minutes and just be present with someone who is hurting. That gesture, the small act of slowing down, can protect relationships that would otherwise fracture under the weight of efficiency. The second role is the emotionally demonstrative one. This is the sibling who often gets the least grace from everyone else. They're the one who cries at the walkthrough, who can't seem to make decisions about what to keep and what to donate, who brings up memories at moments that feel to everyone else inconvenient, who gets labeled, sometimes out loud, sometimes just in tone, as the one who isn't helping. I want to say something clearly here. That sibling is helping. They are doing something that the rest of the family needs, but hasn't given themselves permission to do yet. They are grieving out loud in real time, and grief, when it's acknowledged, helps a ton. It's the grief that gets suppressed and shushed and managed and ignored that gets stuck and causes damage. The emotional sibling doesn't need to be fixed or hurried. They need someone to sit next to them for just a minute and say, I know, this is really hard. What the rest of the family needs from the emotional sibling, if that's you, is just a little trust. Trust that the process will honor what matters, that nothing important will be thrown away without care, that their feelings are welcome in the room. When they feel that trust, they can usually keep moving. It's the feeling of being rushed or dismissed that locks them in place. The third role is one that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. It's the emotionally strong one, the one who is somehow managing their own grief, supporting the parents' emotions, mediating between the other siblings, and keeping the whole thing from completely derailing all at the same time. From the outside, this person looks like they're fine. They look capable and steady and present, and because they look fine, everyone leans on them constantly. What often goes unnoticed is that this sibling is carrying an enormous amount. They've probably been carrying it for a long time, maybe since the first parent passed away, maybe since you all were young. And because they're good at not showing it, they rarely get asked how they're doing. They rarely get the check-in that they're giving everyone else. What the family needs from the emotionally strong sibling is honesty. To say, at some point, I need a minute and a hug, and maybe for someone else to sit with mom for a while. And what the family needs to give them is the same care they've been extending to everyone else. Check on your strong sibling. Ask them directly. Don't assume that because someone looks steady, they aren't also tired. Now, here's the piece I really want you to take with you. When families treat the sale of a parent's home like a purely logistical event, when the focus is only on timeline and market value and decluttering schedules, they get through the sale, but they sometimes lose something else in the process. Relationships get strained in ways that take years to repair. Old wounds reopen and don't fully close again. The parent watches all of this happening, sometimes helplessly. A difficult home sale, handled without enough care for the emotional dimensions of it, can be genuinely traumatic. I don't say that to frighten anyone. I say it because it's true, and because knowing it gives you the chance to do something differently. This home, your parents' home, is a beautiful box full of memories. 50 years of ordinary Tuesdays and holiday mornings and arguments that got resolved and seasons that came and went. It deserves to be released, but it deserves to be released gently, with enough space for everyone to say goodbye in their own way on a timeline that doesn't sacrifice meaning for speed. That's not just a kindness to your parent, it's a kindness to your whole family and to the version of yourself that will look back on this someday. If the emotional weight of this process is creating real tension between your family members, it might be worth looking into a family mediator. Mediators aren't just for legal disputes. They're trained to help families have hard conversations in a structured, neutral setting. The New Hampshire Judicial Branch actually maintains a roster of certified mediators, and some specialize specifically in family and elder care situations. I'll put a link to that in the description so you can explore that option yourself. And if you want to talk through what your family is dealing with specifically right now, you're always welcome to call or text me at 603-573-6969. These are the conversations I'm here for. In the next video in this series, we're going to talk about communication breakdowns, what they actually look like when they're happening, why they're so hard to catch in the moment, and what you can do to keep a family conversation from turning into something that takes years to come back from. I'll see you there. The New Hampshire they had filled Nook. What? I'm gonna just start that over. 50 years. Wow. No friend. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do it again. One more time. She and her husband, every nook and every cranny.